Find it at musicindustrycity.com. I am just getting the live streams going. Welcome, everybody. Good to see you. Happy Monday. And we're going to get going in just a moment. But if you want to follow along with the headline news, all the articles that we talk about in the news are in our show notes document. So if you go to musicindustrycity.com, click on the graphic that says show notes. So musicindustrycity.com, click on the show notes, and that'll take you there. And we're going into the countdown. How you doing? Welcome to the Music News Power Hour here on the Music Industry City Broadcast Network. And today we are going to talk about, well, the Dutch shut down a piracy site. England's COVID concerts have some test results. TikTok party meets police tear gas. Live music updates. Universal's new royalty rules, plus your daily Spotify update. It is Monday. And let's get this started by welcoming my co-host, Angela Randall. And Eli is off for the next few days. So, Angela, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks so much, Peter. It's a sunny/rainy day here in the UK, but we'll get to the weather later.
We'll get to the weather report later, yes. And but in Eli's absence, we're going to pass the torch over to you for this day in history, right?
Yep, terrific. I got it up in front of me here. Do you want to start with births or deaths?
Just go in. You can get. Let's go into honoring those who have passed. We honor those who have passed. We honor those who have been born, and then we added some fun little tidbits about what's happened in the music world this day in history. Take it away, Angela.
So, in memory, this day in 1963, U.S. blues guitarist and singer Elmore James died of a heart attack, age 45. James wrote Shake Your Moneymaker and was known as the King of the Slide Guitar in memory. This day in 1991, founding member of the Byrds, Gene Clark, died of a heart attack, aged 49. This day in 2010, Paul Gray, the bassist with U.S. metal band Slipknot, was found dead in a hotel in Des Moines, Iowa. The body of the 38-year-old musician was found by an employee at the hotel in a suburb of the city, in memory. This day in 2020, American bassist Al Rex died aged 91. He started playing for Bill Haley and his Comets. Births today, this day in 1941, Bob Dylan, also known as Robert Zimmerman to his mom, I'm sure, American singer, songwriter, author, and painter. Dylan's released over 40 albums since 1964. Happy birthday to Bob Dylan. This day in 1944, American singer, songwriter, Patti LaBelle. Happy birthday to Patti. This day in 1967, Jamaican-born American rapper Heavy D. And also in 1969, Rich Robinson, guitarist for the Black Crowes, was also born. Happy birthday to all of those people. This day in history, 24th of May, 1956, the first Eurovision Song Contest was held in Lugano, Switzerland. The event was the brainchild of Marcel Besançon of the European Broadcasting Union. Seven countries that is, participated, and they were allowed two songs. Both Luxembourg and winner Switzerland used the same singer for both. Switzerland won in the end with Refrain by Lise Assia. This day in 1980, Genesis fans turned up at the Roxy Club box office in Los Angeles to buy tickets for a forthcoming gig, and were surprised to find the band members, Phil Collins, Tony Banks, and Mike Rutherford, selling the tickets to themselves. This day in 2000, a New York judge told Pretender singer Chrissie Hynde that if she wanted her March arrest for protesting the sale of leather goods in a Gap store dismissed, she'd better keep her nose clean for the next 6 months. And lastly, this day in 2009, Billy Joel was being sued by his former drummer for hundreds of thousands of dollars in unpaid royalties. Liberty DeVito claimed that Joel hadn't paid him proper royalties for 10 years of his work. DeVito was Joel's drummer from 1975 until 2005, when he said he was abruptly thrown out of the band. He said, People get fired, they get severance or insurance for a certain period of time. I didn't even get a phone call. It was cold. And that's it for today's events in history. Back to you, Peter.
Right on. Thank you, and everybody. Thank you, Angela. Eli has is off until she'll be back on Thursday, and that was Angela doing this day in history. I love it. So, we're gonna get started just in the news read in just 1 second, but I always want to welcome some the new faces to the room and people that are joining us on Android. Android is available Clubhouse worldwide, so welcome everybody. All right, and make sure what you do is you follow the people up on stage. Moderators hit that green that green little Monopoly-looking house up in Music Industry City. That way you can follow along with the club, and you can also follow more at musicindustrycity.com. We also have the show notes, which has all the headlines that we cover in the day. So if you want to play at home, you can go to musicindustrycity.com and click on the show notes. So what we do here every Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern is we scour the World Wide Web for music business news that we think should be opened for discussion. And we're going to start those reads very shortly, but I also want to welcome everybody that is tuning in on the video live stream. Yes, this is live streamed. If you can actually watch this, if you go to musicindustrycity.com, you'll see there is a live stream that's going on there. You just have to click the start button so you can see what's actually happening. And with that being said, for those in the live stream feed, please feel free to ask questions or join the conversation in the chat. And for everybody else here in Clubhouse, feel free to raise your hand if you want to come on stage and offer your thoughts during the industry roundtable. So what we do is we read the news, we have some conversation about that, and if there's something you want to chime in about, feel free to raise your hand. And also, just for those that are new to Android and everybody, if you ping people in, because a lot of the new Android people aren't following all of everybody, so if you want to ping in some of your friends that you think would be great, to add to the conversation or might be interested in us, please do so. It's that's how they're going to find everybody, because a lot of the iOS people that have been here for a while, we're all following each other, so we just see it in the news feed in the hallway. But if they're not seeing it, so feel free to do that. And with that being said, let's get to the news. All right, this starts off with from CompleteMusicUpdate.com. A Dutch piracy group gets Piracy Site. Discover this place taken offline. A piracy site called Discover This Place has been taken offline following legal action by Dutch anti-piracy group Brein, B-R-E-I-N. The site seemingly provided users with links to tens of thousands of copyright-infringing albums, movies, TV shows, ebooks, and magazines that were stored on cyber lockers. The links were only available to members of the site, some of whom paid €5 a month for priority access to the latest files. Brian identified 3 people involved in running the site and posting the links, although it actually sought an ex parte injunction against the operation, meaning the court would issue an order without the 3 specific defendants being present to defend themselves. The argument was the site was clearly liable for copyright infringement. The link posting consisting of a communication to be a public of the infringing materials, and given the scale of the piracy operation, a speedy injunction was required. The court concurred. According to Torrent Freak, the court's injunction ordered the 3 named individuals to cease and desist their piracy operation with the threat of daily penalty of €2,400 if they failed to do so. Ryan itself subsequently reported that after the court order was serviced, the site was immediately taken offline. Those involved had pledged to cease the infringement and have reached a settlement of €20,000. All right, take them down.
Yeah, I think you're going to be hard-pressed to find anybody in this room who says that they're on the side of piracy, but just in case.
It's one of those things like, you remember a Pirate Bay?
Yeah, of course. BitTorrent, all those, they were a huge deal. Deal.
So, fun little side note, or useless piece of information, however you take it, is the person that pretty much was responsible was a Danish gentleman by the name of Jesper Bay, and he was part of the forgot what the Danish organization at the time. But he was the one that was pretty much responsible for taking down Pirate Bay, and his name was Jesper Bay. So what did Pirate Bay do? They launched a website called jesperbay.com in retaliation to him. I mean, got to give it to them for being clever. And I was having coffee with him one time in New York, and I said, by the way, I've known you for like, I don't even know how many years, and I've never asked you about it. I'm like, what did you think when they put Just for Bay up on? He just kind of leaned back and had this like smirk on his face. He's like, yeah, whatever. He's like, I thought it was cute.
Gotta love a quality troll.
Yes. All right. So this one is a little less music centric, but it is about being outside and something to keep in mind. And it is with, content creators. So this one's consequence.net and funny consequence. The TikTok beach party broken up by police using tear gas. The event dubbed Adrian's Kickback brought thousands of teens to Huntington Beach, California. At the beginning of the week, a random kid named Adrian Lopez announced he was hoping an open invitation birthday party on Saturday at Huntington Beach, California. The flyers for Adrian's Kickback spread like wildfire on TikTok, and as is the way things go online, it quickly became one of the most overhyped parties, with high-profile influencers even suggesting they would attend. Unsurprisingly, local police caught wind of the event and promptly broke it up with tear gas and pepper bullets. What began as a simple invite on TikTok, quote, pop out and celebrate my B-Day, reads the flyer for Adrian's Kickback, wound up drawing thousands of teenagers and young adults who just wanted to hang out and goof around, as kids are wont to do. The crowd started to form around 6:30 p.m., and less than an hour later, the police declared an unlawful assembly while people lit off fireworks just shy of midnight. Police began deploying pepper bullets in an attempt to disperse the party while kids danced atop cars, rummaged through local shop tents, and hurled drinks in the air. They said the Los Angeles Times reports that more than 2,500 people gathered there. Nearly 150 were arrested in total, 28 of them who were juveniles. The police claimed that charges for those taken into custody include vandalism, failure to disperse, curfew violations, and firework offenses. He said, Adrian said, he goes, I was on my way to school and I only had 40 likes. But then it just ramped up to over 180 million views. All right. So this is something that we have to pay attention to about being outside. We've had issues with outdoor parties being broken up. So please be careful, be safe, be smart. And with that being said, let's talk about some more venues. And this one is an iq-mag.net. And once again, if you want to follow along with all the headlines that we talk about here, you can find them in our show notes, and that is at musicindustrycity.com. So when you go to musicindustrycity.com, click on the graphic that says show notes, and that'll launch the Google Doc, which has all the articles that we cover. And every day we keep adding to that list. So by the time we get to Friday, it's the week in review. So if there's something you like, hey, can we talk about that article? And that way you can jump in and join in the conversation. We also have resources for artists and business in there that we talk about in our Good Day Music World room, which is an hour before this. And we also have our playlist. We put together a Spotify playlist based on our viewers in Clubhouse shouting out artists. With that being said, this one is New York venues that ask for proof of vax can fully reopen. So Radio City Hall will reopen at full capacity for fully vaccinated attendees only, who won't be required to wear masks or distance. New York venues are now permitted to return to full capacity instead of 1/3 if they require patrons to show proof of vaccination. Major venues, including Madison Square Garden and Radio City Music Hall, have already announced plans that center around attendees who have been fully vaccinated. Radio City Hall, with a capacity of 6,015, is set to reopen June 19th at full capacity, exclusively for citizens who have been fully vaccinated, which counts for 44.6% of New Yorkers. The news was announced by New York City Governor Andrew Cuomo last week during a conference held inside a music hall. So James Dolan, executive chairman of the MSG company, which owns Radio City Music Hall, confirmed the venue is set to remain open and operate as usual beyond June 19th. It's not clear how the venue would check people's vaccination status, but it's likely that the Excelsior Pass will be used. The app launched by New York State verifies proof of COVID-19 negative test results or proof of vaccination with art and entertainment venues and businesses by using a scannable QR code. It was tested during the Brooklyn Nets game at Barclays Center on February 27th and during the New York Rangers game on March 2nd at MSG. And just yesterday, Madison Square Garden welcomed 15,000 fans to watch the first round of NBA playoffs, marking the largest indoor gathering for New York State since the start of the pandemic. The article goes into more details. If you'd like to read along, then you can go to musicindustrycity.com and click on the show notes graphic. Moving over to across the pond there. This one is in mixmag.net. Only 15 COVID cases reported following pilot test events across England. 58,000 people attended events such as club nights, a festival, Brit Awards, and FA Cup final. Only 15 people have tested positive for COVID-19 since attending government-backed mass gathering pilot test events in England over the past month, the Telegraph reports. Around 58,000 people attended events in cities such as Liverpool and London, including the Circus Club's nights at Liverpool's Bramley Moor Dock, one-day festival at nearby Sefton Park, Brit Awards and London's O2 Arena, and FA Cup semi-final and final football matches at Wembley Stadium. Other events included the World Snooker Championship in Sheffield and a 5K run in Surrey. That's just 15 COVID cases. That just 15 COVID cases were reported among a significant number of event attendees will give hope to the events industry that safe reopening is possible ahead of the planned June 21st end of lockdown and social contract restrictions. The full Events Research Program (ERP) report is due to be given to Prime Minister Boris Johnson next week, outlining recommendations for reopening events from the data. A government spokesman said, "The quote, the aim of our world-leading events research program is to examine the risk of COVID-19 transmission at large events and explore how crowds can be welcomed back into bigger numbers safely. The pilots have been designed in a scientifically controlled way to reduce the risk of transmission for attendees. We are working closely with NHS Test and Trace to ensure everyone can be traced following a positive test." All right. Yeah. So Angela, or Andy as well. Have you seen any more of this? I got this article from Mixmag. They said, and it says that the report hasn't been submitted to Boris Johnson. I haven't found a lot more when I did a quick Google search. I haven't found any more stats from this. So this seemed like if this was such a big announcement, wouldn't this be covered more in the media? Have you seen anything mentioned over there or discussed?
As I said last week, I don't know. I don't know if everybody in the room was with us then. Because it was the end of the broadcast, and I was in a room with some of the members of the organizations that were running this, including Youssef from Circus, who indicated that there were going to be positive results, not positive as in COVID positive, but positive as in good news results that came out of all of the events, both the rave and the concert in Liverpool. I think what they're doing is trying to collate them along with also this weekend's football, which I think all 20 Premier League clubs were playing, and most, if not all, had fans in attendance as well. So I think the government's official pilots, followed by those events, which were obviously placed all over the UK, will sort of solidify the 21st of June date still remaining intact for when we can be fully open at 100% capacity indoors and outdoors, etc. I did hear on the news this morning, though, which may have sort of usurped this news, that the Indian variant that has been of concern in the north of England over the last 2 weeks, a study that was published said that the vaccines are 87% effective against that variant as well. So there's no cause for alarm for another wave. So that may have just trumped that news, because I know that one was a bit of a concern as well. So everything looks on track still for the 21st of June, and they may just be waiting to have one big hit of an announcement rather than storming the press with little bits here and there.
It's like, here you go. Here's the big announcement. Now, there's two sides of the coin on this one. Is if they were to make just one big announcement, you're talking June 21st. Is it the 17th or the 21st is the big day?
21st is the day that we're supposed to be open, full strength everywhere. And I believe it may be maskless as well. Okay. They haven't said that for certain.
Right. So the two sides of the coin is, do you trickle it out saying, hey, there's some information. We don't want everybody to get too crazy yet. We're still getting back to you. Or, hey, everybody, it's good to go, and we're going to open up. And at that point, is that going to create this not hysteria, but like the hysteria in the good way or bad way as you look at it is saying, oh well, the 17th's only a few days away, so why don't we just all go out now? So it really, like, by making one big announcement, it could have that kind of ramification. Or if it's end of May, like after first week in June, it's like, oh well, it's only one more week, so let's just go out and party anyway.
I think that's happened in previous emergences from lockdowns before. So I think you're not going to have, and I see Andy flashing, please weigh in, because I don't want to use a cliche of the culture, but when pubs are open and sun is shining, English people, British people are out.
Yeah, it's been ridiculous. It's been the slightest bit of good news. We have in my humble opinion, a very irresponsible press at times who will just leap on something and turn it into a much, much bigger deal. So everybody thinks that everything's, they'll take it as a huge positive and everything's over, so that we'll all be out in the pubs, as you say. And I think last year we had some big effects from that. As soon as they gave a slight bit of positive news, suddenly everybody descended out, gathered together, and suddenly we have another spike. So I'm hoping actually they're learning from their mistakes. It's not historically the case, but hopefully they are this time, to learn from their mistakes and then put all the data together and go, you know what, we've got this, we've got this, we've got this, we've got this. So therefore we're opening now. Because I think, like you say, Peter, at times where they've done it and say, the news is looking really, really good. We're opening in 2 weeks. Everybody just hears the news is looking really good. We're opening. And they just seem to ignore
Yeah.
the in 2 weeks bit and just, yeah. So
It's
I
like,
wouldn't
yeah,
be surprised if
just
they're putting
wait.
it all together.
The final 10% is always the toughest, but at least there's vaccines in place now, so that'll help curb. Hopefully, it will curb some like an infection rate if there is some kind of pickup. And of course, we don't want any kind of pickup, any kind of bump. With that
I
being
believe
said,
we're at 35s as well for that, just to give you an update. So
okay,
35s and over are offered vaccines at the moment.
all
And
right.
it's worth having also, sorry, just to finish that bit off, it's also worth looking at the difference between what's happening now in terms of cases to unfortunate fatality rate is totally different to what was happening before. We've
Mm-hmm.
still got relatively reasonable cases, but the fatality rate is just going right down, right down.
All right. Well, we're going to segue into something on BuzzFeed News, and considering we're talking about vaccines, which are drugs, I guess, so let's talk about drugs and live. And this one, we're just going to touch upon this really quick. We also talked about in the Good Day Music World show, is the winner of Eurovision denied doing cocaine on live TV and said he'll take a drug test. Italian rock band Måneskin won the Eurovision Song Contest on Saturday, beating out acts from 39 countries that included pop queens, metalheads, and a group that went viral on TikTok. As the glam rockers sat off stage and waited for the results, though, viewers noticed that the lead singer, Damiano David, looked like he was getting the party started early. As his bandmates cheered and waved the Italian flag, David ducked his head in a motion that lots of people said looked like he was about to do a line of cocaine on live TV. Others, particularly fans of the runner-up, France, called for Italy to be disqualified. In a press conference after the victory, David said that what the video actually shows is him reacting to his bandmate breaking a glass. "I don't use drugs, please, guys," quote. He said, "Please don't say that, really." And in fact, photos show broken glass on the floor. The European Broadcast Union, which organizes a song contest every year, said in a statement that it could confirm that broken glass was found around the band's table. Quote, "The band, their management, and head of delegation have informed us that no drugs were present in the green room and explained that a glass was broken at their table and it was being cleared by the singer." The statement continues, "The EBU can confirm broken glass was found after an on-site check." Now back in Italy, David has offered to take a drug test to prove he was clean during the show. Eurovision organizers said they're still reviewing all the footage and will provide more information as it's available. Has anybody actually seen this video? Is anybody actually?
Yep.
I mean, okay, to do a line of cocaine, with your one hand all the way down, like hanging to the ground, the other one all the way to the side. I mean, that's like some Hoover vacuum stuff if you don't close one nostril or have like a dollar bill or a straw. I might be giving away too much information here,
I
but
said, don't worry, Peter. I said the same to my husband who was sitting across the room when we were watching it live. He just said, did I just see what I think? And I said, no way. I mean, unless he's Tony Montana and this is Scarface, there's no way he's going to be able to accomplish what they just assumed that he'd accomplished. If you review it, there's a few angles that you can see where he's clearly either bending down or reaching down for something, and it just is an optical illusion, really. So good to have his
here's
name cleared, I suppose.
right. And the thing is, the reason I brought this article to the table here, because actually it's not lighthearted. I mean, it's a lighthearted, like, okay, we're laughing a little bit. It's like, no, come on, really? Is the fact that after the press at the press conference, they called him out in public in the press conference saying, people think that you were snorting cocaine. Were you? So now it turned into this giant issue that has taken away from the music and from them. They will now be known as the band that, oh yeah, you were the guy that did cocaine, because not everybody, in 10 years, people are going to be like, oh, you were the cocaine guy. And he's going to still have to explain it. What they did, and they could have easily gone over to a table. They could have easily asked him off. There's all this stuff, but to publicly go into that press conference and call him out on something like that based on what people were saying on Twitter detracts so much from the value of what they just accomplished.
Especially since they really weren't favorites. I mean, they were in some circles, but there were a lot of other sort of more favorited as the night wore on acts. So yeah, I agree. It has cast a negative shadow on them, and I mean, it's kind of just par for the course, I think, in a lot of cases when you're a rock band. Nobody even thought that the girl who was just a French singer, or that she could have been on anything, or that she could have, or any of the other performing acts that were more singing and dancing. Is that the fact that they're rock and roll and they have guitars and they were wearing leather? I mean, that might sort of lent itself to assuming the worst, as opposed to giving them the benefit of the doubt in the moment.
Yeah, and that's the issue. And what is it? The first time in 31 years Italy has won, something like
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
A lot of people were really pleased because obviously Italy is, I mean, everybody suffered through COVID, but Italy definitely
Yeah.
got hit one of the hardest in Europe. So it was kind of good for them to get a win in some way.
Yeah, to get a win and then to have the asterisk added to it. So, yeah, I'm not a fan of what was done. So, with that being said, let's go over to Music Week. And Rockstar Games launches a record label with club brand Circo Loco. And again, you can find all the articles follow along in the show notes at musicindustrycity.com. You can also check out the live stream at musicindustrycity.com. You'll see the live streams will appear here. That's us. We're live right now. So it's kind of meta. You'll be seeing a Clubhouse screen with the people up on the stage. And so this goes, Rockstar Games have launched a record label with club culture brand Circo Loco. Debuting with a series of EPs featuring tracks from the label's forthcoming compilation album, Circo Loco Records will showcase contributions by artists who have played Circo Loco's club nights over the past 2 decades, including parties at Ibiza's DC-10. Artists set to release via the label include Carl Craig, Luciano, Sex Trosser, Moody Man, Rempa, and a bunch of other upcoming artists. Rockstar Games has championed the underground artists and scenes across an array of blockbuster games, including Grand Theft Auto series, which pioneered the use of curated radio stations hosted by personalities ranging from Frank Ocean to the late Karl Lagerfeld. Rockstar's introduction of digital nightclubs to the world of Grand Theft Auto Online with the After Hours enabled players to step into a fully realized nightclub setting and experiencing DJs such as the Blessed Madonna, Dixon, Solomon, and Tales of Us. So it's really interesting, what they're seeing. The reason I brought this one to the table is because the intersection of gaming, I mean, music and gaming, it's not new. It's still out of everything else. It is still relatively new, I guess, in this grand scheme of the timeline. But what we're seeing with the intersection of gaming, VR, XR, music, Roblox, Fortnite, everything that's happening, and also then there's licensing. The fact I look at this when you talk about a record label and Rockstar Games, with the club brand, things like that, this might help licensing with the issues that are going on with Twitch. DMCA takedown notices. You look at what Monster Cat as a label has done and saying, hey, whitelist all everything. You can play it. We're allowing it. We're not going to go after you for DMCA. Go for it. This new economy, this creator economy is changing. And I'm fascinated, and I think it's something to watch about, like, if you are looking to align with a label, what labels are doing innovative, new things that don't require a ton of like negotiations with, and that's what's going on with blockchain. That's what's going on with crypto. It's this taking out some of the middlemen. I think, the creator economy is going to be is going to be the new buzzwords. Okay. It's creator economy. We're coming out of the attention economy, or the attention deficit economy, as I would like to say. It's an interruption economy right now, with YouTube even adding more, advertising. So it's going to be really interesting to see how all this gaming and everything comes together, because it's a little more difficult to throw those blatant commercials to interrupt you. If you want a commercial, you want an ad, you can slide it in a little easier than watching a video, and then all of a sudden there's no dissolve, there's no transition. It just pops up. Here's 2, 5, or 15-second videos that are going to interrupt you, and then we're going to go back to the video that you have to kind of rewind 5 seconds just to figure out where you were.
Yeah, I've noticed even some YouTube personalities are getting around this, because they're taking on sort of sponsors within their content, especially some of the reaction talent. They're wearing the shirt, they're drinking the drink, they're wearing the hat, they're vaping, they're doing whatever it is that the sponsor has given them, and therefore are sort of seeing that as a way to sort of buck the disruption model. And same thing in Twitch. I mean, at the moment, so music has become a problem, but brands haven't become a problem, and we've seen plenty of people, branded channels, or people wearing things or talking about things in their channel that's integrated, that makes sense. It's almost influencer marketing, as you said, but within Twitch, and within, why music can't be the same. If you're partnering with a record label, like in the story, it's very possible now that the sponsor, or that this channel or this content is brought to you by, could be supplied by a record label, where the music is what we're advertising in this case. And if you're playing the game, it's immersive, so it's disruptive.
Right. Yeah, and then there's the issue that the games, so you have the gamers streaming on Twitch, and then they can't play the game, the audio soundtrack from the game, in their Twitch stream, or they're going to get DMCA'd on Twitch. And then there's a workaround that games have added a extra like layer of, here, take this feed and send this feed to your Twitch stream, as opposed to using these songs that won't be cleared for a live stream or video on demand.
Yeah, I mean, every time they announce a new way to sort of police it, someone comes up with an innovative way to work around it. And that's, like you say, that's the sort of genesis of the creator economy, really. It's creating and innovating outside of, the old norms.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to talk about the metaverse tomorrow. There's a massive white paper that was written about it, and it covers a lot of this. And so I'll put the link in for tomorrow, and I'm going to talk a little about it. But this whole, the metaverse is going to be really difficult to monitor when it comes to all this. Like, Twitch is a platform. Metaverse is everywhere. I can just create my own worlds, and I can stream video, I can stream audio, and I can make it privatized. People in Zoom are using Zoom to do that. It's behind the walled garden. It's closed doors, gated community. It's not public facing, but you can make it public facing. There is going to be a lot of challenges coming on. And with that being said, talking about royalties, this is in Billboard. And this is Universal Music's new policy presents a speed bump for royalty sales. And this goes really in deep here, and this is one that, if this is your space, definitely find the article in Billboard. You can find it at musicindustrycity.com. Click on the show notes graphic. Long accepting of requests to assign royalties to third parties, UMG now wants artists and investors to figure it out. Universal Music Group, the world's largest music company, is no longer accepting letters of direction for the sale of royalty streams. Billboard has learned. That means that at a time when the market for various kinds of music royalties is exploding, investors who have purchased some or all of an artist, songwriter, producer, engineer, or side performer's revenue stream on a sound recording or composition owned or controlled by Universal will now need to coordinate that payment directly through the artist or songwriter with whom the label and publisher has a deal. Universal will continue to honor creators' letters of direction to pay out any of those royalties due to the producers, engineers, and players who have points a percentage of revenue on a recording, but will no longer redirect them to investors in what some view as an aggressive stance at a time when financial institutions' interest in these revenue streams is at an all-time high. Universal had historically, quote, voluntarily accommodated artists' requests to assign rights, even though most of its agreements prohibit doing so, according to a statement provided by Billboard. However, the statement continues, the acceptance of letters of direction for the sale of royalty streams, essentially reassigning these payments to entities with no legally recognized relationship with the company, potentially posed significant tax and legal liability issues. The company did not elaborate on what those issues are, and it's initially unclear what they are specifically. This really kind of in deep, and it talks about over the past 5 years how royalty streams have become an increasingly popular investment for private equity firms and other large institutional investors that are outbid for publishing and mastering recording ownerships, who instead turn to songwriter shares of catalogs and artist royalties for master recordings. Investors can choose the royalties of specific tracks, license, or income type, or across a creator's repertoire. They also can invest in the income stream of producers or engineers who are due royalties on song sales, streams, and sync placements, all of which are paid from the artist's share of the royalties. These royalties are predictable from year to year based on past earnings and are generally passive investments that require a little expertise beyond collecting and accounting for the payments. Anybody have any experience with this? I know there's a lot of these companies out there that are offering advances on future royalties, things like that.
I'm a big nerd about this and probably could talk about royalties and investments in royalties for ages. But definitely maybe something to bring up during the roundtable if anybody has any questions about it when the time comes.
Why don't you give us a little teaser?
Well, with the Music Modernization Act, and Roland's raised his hand, so hopefully he's got something else to add. But with the Music Modernization Act, there's obviously a lot of changes to how royalties are paid out from where it was even 20 years ago, even 10 years ago. And I think they're heading towards a much more streamlined approach from the label side, because what they want to do is have regulatory bodies be able to make rules around this so they don't find themselves in the same hiccup that they were in with artists not being able to collect on things like mechanical royalties and digital royalties as they would have done. There's a lot of complaints going about where they end up should they not collect them or should they not have themselves registered properly. So I think they're just trying to circumvent that, and the tax implications there are another big one as well. When as they look to acquire more and more, they're going to find themselves in a lot of sort of red tape hiccup with all of these sort of secondary payouts that they have to do, where they can really just streamline their process a lot better and say, no, we're not doing this anymore. Set it up on your own time if you want to take money from someone else as an advance on your recordings. Roland, did you have something to add?
I have a completely different topic, so maybe I should wait.
Yeah, we'll pick that up in the roundtable. So we'll get through a few more articles here and then get into the Spotify spot. And so this one is from Music Week, and AIM announces Equality, Diversity, and Inclusion Program. The Association of Independent Music, AIM, has announced the launch of a full Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion EDI training program led by diversity consultants Art Eminu and Vic Bain. EDI Level Up is a curated program that promises to break down barriers and help participants create work environments where conscious inclusion is embedded into their business. The series forms part of the increased set of commitments to social justice, particularly anti-racism, made by AIM in the wake of the tragic events of last summer and its reflections from the Show Must Be Paused campaign and Blackout Tuesday. AIM CEO Paul Pacifico, quote, The independent community is founded on the principle that all voices should be heard and respected. AIM has campaigned for many years on multiple aspects of social justice and inclusion. These sessions come from our acknowledgement that we cannot ever rest on our laurels and that we need to do more to ensure an ever more equitable, diverse, and inclusive independent music community. All right, so the full program will consist of 7 sessions, 5 of which will be form a core curriculum, which will be available for free to ensure everyone is included. 2 additional sessions are being offered to senior executives and leaders from the AIM community to address the specific challenges of implementing positive change. So it goes on, it goes on even more, and it has the dates about the core curriculum, and that is in musicweek.com. All right, this one I've been adding in some fun, like maybe some legacy artists that had come out that haven't done something in a while, and this one I'm really happy about. This is one from Consequence. Sneaker Pimps announced Squaring the Circle, their first new album in nearly 20 years. Yes, yes, yes is all I can say. English trip-hop veteran Sneaker Pimps have announced their return with Squaring the Circle, the group's first new album since 2002's Bloodsport. The full length is due out this fall, with the title track being released as a lead single on July 9th. Way too long. Way too far away. I want that sooner. Squaring the Circle was written, performed, and produced by founding members Chris Corner and Liam Howe. Corner laid down the vocals alongside featured artist Simone Jones. You can actually check out a preview of it and from the article below. So they gave you a little teaser. It's going to be 16 tracks long, and it's recorded at Sawtooth Studios, Pioneer Town, California, and the Tower Studios in London. And I am looking forward to this. Anybody else?
Same.
Same here.
Right on. All right. With that being said, let's kick over to Angela. Angela, we need a weather report.
Yes, obviously Eli's voice is normally the one you hear telling you to go over to your window and open it up. She really does make these weather reports seem like a breeze. But I'll tell you what, I'm going to get my weather puns just a bit better, so I'll save another joke I had for a rainy day. Back to you, Peter.
I see what you did there. And the breeze, it was very good, very good. All right, so just have a couple more articles. This is really quick. I'm going to crank through these because these are just things to pay attention to. Some of these articles are just about like, hey, make sure you're aware of this, especially if you're an artist or if you're managing an artist or you're on social media. This is a music alley. This is Instagram shopping feature extend to artists with merch bar. So, and this one is Instagram, one of the key social platforms for many musicians. Could Instagram and social apps be powerful new drivers of merchandise sales, particularly while the live music industry slowly gets back on its feet in many parts of the world? Here's a partnership that may answer that question. Merchbar, one of the popular online merch platforms, is working with Instagram to bring its shopping features to musicians and labels. It's starting with more than 4,300 artists who will be able to add merch to their Instagram posts, stories, reels, and live streams, quote, by simply adding a product tag. Merchbar says it's also working on dedicated shops for artists that live within their Instagram profile, and QVC-style live shopping feature for musicians, among other features. For now, this is only available to a relatively small subset of musicians using Merchbar, just under 3.5% of its 125,000 clients, but it's an interesting start. So, yeah, pay attention to that. It's going to be really interesting. This is from Android Police, and this is another stat. The death of play music has driven YouTube Music to 1 billion installs. Article starts off, do you remember when YouTube Music was first introduced without the help of a Google search? I'd guess 2019 or 18, and I'll be off by a few years. The service dates back to 2015, but it didn't catch on in popularity until Google introduced the paid subscription plan, expanding its availability to dozens and dozens of countries, and eventually sacrificed Google Play Music at its altar. The app's download numbers have substantially soared in the Play Store and now have reached the coveted 1 billion milestone. The number is certainly impressive considering that YouTube Music had only crossed the 500 million installs a few months ago in September of 2020. It took 58 months to get there, then only 8 months to double that up to 1 billion. Many of these are probably forced installs from people who open their beloved Play Music app one day only to be greeted with the message that it's being killed and they should move to YouTube. And we can't know how many decided to stick with Google's offered alternative or how many jump ship to another music streaming service. It's going to be what they do know is that the team behind YouTube Music has released dozens of updates in the past month to reach a certain feature parity with the app's fan favorite predecessor. Still not there, but slowly moving forward. Case in point, YouTube Music is finally coming to where wear OS smartwatches. It's really this also could be. I mean, how many times have you? I've never clicked a no thanks button more often in my life than anytime I'm on YouTube. It's like, hey, would you like to subscribe to YouTube Music? No thanks. 5 minutes later, hey, I know we asked you, but no thanks. Hey, by the way, are you interested in subscribing to YouTube Music? Nah.
I think they're learning that they need to stay in their lane. And at the moment, I've also noticed, I don't know whether it's just the content I'm watching, but I've also noticed that the ads per video have gone up considerably. So maybe they're trying to move things around and see what they can play with as well. But yeah, in that instance, it just feels like they're trying to beat you over the head, and I'm not having it. I've got a headache already.
So I'm going to tie this into something you earlier said. And it was about like with YouTube and the ads in the creators and the sponsorships. If you have a paid placement, okay, so if you put a paid placement, you have to mark. So if I have like, hey, and check out this new hat by this new whatever, this new, here's me wearing the brand, and I shout it out. You have to make sure when you upload to YouTube that it says this contains paid promotions. So what that means is YouTube's still going to stick ads interspersed for your video, but you're just not going to make any money on that, or it changes the value. I'm not a partner on YouTube, so I can't comment on that. And if anybody knows more about that, please feel free to raise your hand. I don't want to give out misinformation. I just know that it is they can demonetize you if you have paid placements. So here's now what's happening is that YouTube is adding more, even if, and they started this months ago, and this was an outcry, was that they were starting to add ads to people that weren't monetizing their channel. So before there was no, they wouldn't have ads running for like the small channels. Now they started doing that. So we don't even know when you're watching something. You're like, there's a pre-roll, there's a mid-roll, there's a pre-outro roll, and there's a post-roll. We don't know if those are the creators that are adding those in, or if it's YouTube adding them in, or if it's a combination of both. And it is getting out of hand. It's actually become, to people, it's detrimental, because when you're used to commercials, especially mid-roll, you're watching television, there's a fade to black. So it's pause, commercial. If somebody it's kind of like while you're speaking and somebody just runs in the room and yells, it's like, okay, all right. And then you pick up where you left off, people are going to be like, wait, what were you talking about? Can you back up 5 seconds? So this is becoming, prohibitive to have a good viewing experience. Plus, is this another way that YouTube is saying, well, hey, we'll get rid of all those ads for you if you sign up, if you pay for this? Now, is that true? Does anybody pay for this? Does anybody have an experience? Does it really get rid of every ad? Because I'm almost at the point where it's like, you broke me. You broke me. I can't take it anymore with these ads.
I would love to know that too, because it always seems to be, I watch a lot of music stuff, and it always seems to be during like the second chorus or the drum solo or the climax of the song. And it's like, oh, the whole room just goes, man, terrible ad.
Yeah. And speaking of, we're going to wrap this up with the advertiser and live streaming. And this is Twitch launches a dedicated hot tubs category after advertiser pushback. If anybody's been on Twitch the last few months, or if anybody's been on Twitch at all, you've noticed that it's turned into almost a cesspool of bathwater. And the just chatting, they added the just chatting room category a while ago, and that was for people just to chat, more of a conversation, kind of like hanging out in a clubhouse room. But what happened is, all of a sudden, these streamers decided to get really creative. Hey, bless them. I love the creativity of it. I love it. And basically, let me just put on the smallest bikini I can find. Let me ride an inflatable banana in a bikini in an inflatable pool, what they're calling a hot tub, in my bedroom. And it has become so bad that if you clicked on just chatting, that's all you saw. So you couldn't find anything else. I was like, I go to just chatting. I'm like, I want to find out people that are doing some like conversations. I don't want to be staring at 30 streams of all this stuff. And it was basically a lot of these are getting around like, it's like almost like, well, hey, we can't, Twitch is saying it's like, hey, it's okay to be sexy. It's not violating their terms and policies. But here's the other thing. A lot of these women on there also have OnlyFans accounts, and they're using the Twitch platform to email their followers. So they're using this as a teaser to get them to go to their OnlyFans. Now, what happened is the age appropriation on Twitch. This is a problem. So people are getting fed up, and they started they changed the category because advertisers were pulling the ad revenue from streamers. So this is from The Verge. Again, all the articles are in musicindustrycity.com. Click on the show notes graphic. Twitch is launching a dedicated category for hot tub streams after claiming it has received pushback from advertisers and viewers about the trend has taken over the platform. The new pools, hot tubs, and beaches category is meant to let creators stream what they want while also giving Twitch advertisers a more convenient way to prevent ads from running on streams they don't approve. Earlier this week, Twitch pulled advertising from some hot tub streamers without warning. In a statement sent to The Verge today, the company said that was a mistake. Quote, "We did not alert impacted creators at the time that we should have our creators rely on us." In particular, ad suspension hit Amaranth, who is one of the platform's biggest streamers. Her channel is now showing ads again, though it appears her hot tub streams have been removed. First and foremost, no one deserves to be harassed for the content they choose to stream. Twitch says it policies what is and isn't allowed on the platform aren't changing. The company is not going to prevent people from streaming in hot tubs or swimwear, while sexually suggestive content remains banned. Context-appropriate clothing like bathing suits in a pool is allowed. Quote, "Being found to be sexy by others is not against our rules, and Twitch will not take enforcement against women or anyone on our service for their perceived attractiveness," the company wrote in a bold blog post. The post is a surprisingly direct message from the tech company laying out its competing interests in problems being faced in the situation that most other companies would address in a vague manner at best. Hot tub streamers tend to be women, and they'll also face sexist harassment from men who don't like seeing them or their success on Twitch. Twitch's new system plays into that to an extent. It pulls their streams out of the very popular Just Chatting section and moves it into the brand new Hot Tub section, but it also validates that this type of streaming is allowed and welcome on the platform. In its blog post, the company says, quote, "First and foremost, no one deserves to be harassed for the content they choose to stream." Twitch says that adding a new category is not its long-term solution to giving advertisers more control of what streams their ads run on, but it views this as a short-term solution, saying it allows viewers to seek out hot tub content and gives creators a place to continue streaming it. Brands will be able to opt in or out of it, placing ad streams in that category.
As a person of epic sexiness myself, I must agree that being able to show off one's good looks and get appreciation for it should totally be allowed. But I think a lot of the time, in these situations, it seems like the innovators have gone right straight ahead and launched something without running it past the legal department first, or running it past the analytics department. And it's funny to see all these headlines cropping up that are just look like cleanups for things that they launched before kind of thinking it all the way through.
Yeah, I'm all for the separate category. I'm so, and again, I'm not against it. I love the hustle, and hey, if go for it. I mean, some of these people, those streamers are making $50,000 well, not $50,000. Some might be making $50,000 a month, but easily 5 figures a month. A lot of these streamers that are just sitting in a hot tub or an inflatable pool. The thing is that my biggest complaint was that it was in the just chatting category. And I'm glad that Twitch did this, because there are other things, there's so much great music. I mean, the musicians on there, and again, this is a platform. It's, they talked about, it's like, some people are just jealous of that. It's like, yeah, but it's distracting from, when you're in just chatting and like some people are just talking, it's like some great content is just being swallowed up by the algorithm, throwing all of that in your face because it's the most watched. So by doing this, it puts it into a different category and allows more good, not good. I'm not declaring one good or bad, but I'm declaring that other content can rise that is focused onto that category. And also the musicians, things like that. Or maybe musicians should do hot tub streams, an acoustic set in a hot tub, and you never know what's going to happen. Maybe they'll start a new category.
I'm reminded of Jenny from Forrest Gump playing her guitar in the nude on stage, and I think it's a good idea that they sort it out so everybody can party. Maybe some people party in the hot tub and others party in the lounge. Let's do it that way.
But I just party in the USA. With that being said, Spotify, it's our Spotify spot. It's the spot. All right. Spotify faces patent infringement lawsuit tied to contextual advertising. And we are wrapping up the advertising segment. I really did. And I intentionally tied these together. So we're not going to talk about advertising tomorrow. I can tell you that much. Patent infringement lawsuit tied to contextual advertising. The Australian-based music streaming platform Guven has filed a firmly worded patent infringement lawsuit against Spotify, centering on the platform's contextual advertising functions. Does anybody remember Guven? Well, Guven, which ceased operating as a streaming service in 2017, just recently submitted the complaint against Spotify to a New York federal court. Digital Music News obtained an exclusive copy of the corresponding filing, which doesn't elaborate upon the scope and nature of the plaintiff's current operations. But needless to say, despite an aforementioned shutdown as well as a much publicized and highly controversial downfall in the preceding years, an underlying Guven entity still exists in some form, and the company's suit, for its part, centers on patent number something something, which is, quote, system and method for generating a pool of matched content. Guven filed for the patent in the United States in December 2010, according to the USPTO database, after moving to acquire the patent in Australia in December 2009. Specifically, the patent outlines a method of linking users' profiles, complete with personal info and interest, and, quote, content which is preferred by consumers, which itself is then paired with, quote, with advertising from brands associated with that content. Also covered in the multifaceted patent description are ways to assign a qualitative value to the degree of association between content and brands, as well as the significant role of contextual data, which companies can conceivably use to associate with a particular product or service. This goes on really deep. Basically, Guven indicates the suit that the various elements of the patent description are reflected in the source code and are available for inspection. Moreover, Spotify infringes upon one component of the patent by featuring, quote, a consumer database with user profiles. The lawsuit claims quoting and linking the Spotify for Brands web page. Consequently, Guven is seeking a reasonable royalty, a post-judgment injunction, and more. And so that's going to wrap it up for today. Any final thoughts?
I've been through the patent process and it's very, very deep and very, very wide, but that just sounds like that is a bit vague compared to what the internet and everything offers. It sounds like they'd cover everything.
You have a software program that analyzes data.
Yeah, and says, here's a customer and here's somebody who's selling something. This customer might want it. That conflicts with our patent.
Well, that's what patent trolls are really good at. And I'm not saying this is a patent troll, but we know patent trolls.
Sounds like somebody's just trying to remake a name for themselves potentially.
Mm-hmm. All right, so we have 2 minutes left, but I'm going to put 3 minutes of overtime on the clock, so 5 minutes total, because I know Roland, sorry we went a little long. What was it you wanted to bring to the table? Is a question or a news article?
If I tell you the biggest music event was last Saturday, do you know what I'm talking about or not?
Was it Eurovision?
Yeah. I've seen it. It was great. Italy won with a dirty rock song. And that's rock. They say rock is dead. Well, the song of Italy really rocked. There was a small cocaine scandal that they caught him on camera sniffing something, and they say he was sniffing, but I don't think so, but it's just funny. And number 2 was, by the way, Friend, with a real French song, Edith Piaf, I really liked it. But it's just a spectacle. Sometimes there's more show than song. 39 countries competing, only 200 million people in the world watching, and only one winner, so it's really great. Sometimes the show is bigger than the song. Some songs are bad, some songs are good. You can just rate the song. It's just fun. And it's going to be in the States as well, I think, by the way.
I also want to add how upset I am that it has been since 1969 that Spain has won. They were robbed again.
Hey, let Italy have it. Now it's 31 years since Italy.
We don't have to bring home the elephant in the room, Andy, do we? Where we talk about how our fair shores managed to garner no point from both the juries and the viewing audience, only for the second time, second time I should say, in the entirety of the competition, but not since 2003. And the song wasn't that bad, was it?
I'm sure it's got absolutely nothing to do with decisions that were made in 2016.
Not at all.
What happened in 2016?
I don't remember. That was a wild summer, wasn't it, Andy? I can't remember anything at all.
Right on.
Nobody mentioned Europe in the news that year.
Okay, yes, exactly. So, all right, everybody, I want to thank everybody for joining us today. We are going to close up the Music News Power Hour because it's called the Power Hour, so we try to keep it at an hour. But we also do this every Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern, and we do this over on Clubhouse. We do this live streaming. So if you actually went to musicindustrycity.com right now, you would see the live stream. You would see it right there. I would be waving. So hi. Hi, everybody who's tuning in. And you'd also be able to join in from the conversation and the chat there. And you also can register for free to Music Industry City to find out about all our programming and everything that we have going on in the city and the virtual city and our events and our networking events and everything outside Clubhouse and our live streams and VR talk shows. Yeah, we have a lot going on. So make sure to head over to musicindustrycity.com and sign up for free. It takes you less than 30 seconds, and that way you'll be in the know. And it's great to thank you, Angela. We're picking up a lot. You know, Eli is off until Eli will be back on Thursday, so we'll have the dream team in full effect. But Angela, thank you so much for filling in.
No problem. And don't forget to click the little green Lego house at the top next to the Music Industry City club name to keep up with everything. And welcome to all of our Android users as well. It's good to have you on board here on Clubhouse. If you keep an eye on us with that little green box, it'll ping you to let you know when the rooms are open every day. Thanks again, Peter.
Yeah, thank you. And make sure to hit the follow button. So you hit the smash my face, smash Angela's face, smash Andy's face. Do that a couple times. Everybody, and then just make sure you hit that follow button. That way you'll be notified because the algorithm they're working it out. It's going to be really improved, but it's still going to be about a month away. So that's how you're going to know about it. And again, we also do the Good Day Music World at 11 a.m. Monday through Friday. So that kicks off the day. Good Day Music World, 11 to 12. Then we do here at the Music News Power Hour. Once again, thank you, everybody. It's been great Monday. Hope to see you tomorrow and have a great day.
Cheerio.
All right. Thanks, Peter. Great one today.